Welcome to the Creative Playing Podcast Network. Join us as we review our favorite RPGs, collectible card games, MMOs, video games, PC games, and bring up interesting topics and things that we'd like to share with everyone. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion to Ragnarok story, and Tilda Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and rpgpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Hey everyone. My name's Brandon, my real name. You may probably don't know me. Oh, wait, is that the Buffalo Stance? Okay. I have other internet names such as Hankerin Ferinale. I'm also known as Brandish Gilhelm. That's like my author name. That's my author name. That's so weird. So I got invited to Comic-Con. So I assume that the fact that you guys are sitting here means you are all either D&D players, or wannabe D&D players, or longtime D&D players, or recovering D&D players. So the reason that Dave Hack invited me, I assume, is either he's on drugs or thought that I had something meaningful to say about D&D that could be cool. So I imagine it's probably both. I'm sorry, I just have to tell you what just happened. That's how we're going to start. Okay, so we're sitting in the other room and playing what should not be called D&D. D&D is the round boulder that is rolling behind me, and I'm Indiana Jones with the spider webs and shit. I do not play legitimate D&D, and I'm not accepted by WotC or D&D in any way. So everyone needs to know that coming out of the gate. Okay, so I have no actual knowledge of any kind. So we're sitting there playing, and a mom and a dad came up with their kid. The kid was 7, and came up, and they were just what is all this shit? So, this probably will be R-rated. I hope everyone's okay with that.
No fucking problem.
Thank you. So they came up, they're just what is this? And we want to play. And I was oh my God, yes. I love little micro families that are open to the weirding. So we're starting to play, and we're doing our thing. We're rolling d20s, we're rolling damage, and doing our thing. We go through the door, and the thing jumps out, and we got a timer. All the shit that basically I'm here to talk about today was happening. But you got a 7-year-old up in this spot, and you got parents who know absolutely nothing about D&D. And to me, this was this is completely accidental, by the way. This is a completely real story, but it was a perfect crucible of sort of what I wanted to talk about today, which is sort of being a bitchin' ass dungeon master. So if you guys are here to think about that problem, I want to be a super cool dungeon master, the one that is told of. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, people will talk about that night where everybody crapped their pants because of the whatever. So it just happened, which is we're playing. I feel weird. My skin is crawling thinking about it. So we're fighting skeletons. Then there's a skeleton that's way too big, and he's immune to damage until you do the thing, and then the block, and then you're playing the cleric. It kind of throws some heals from the back, and then the pillars fell down. And they're I run a lot of timers in my game, which is what we're about to talk about. But the time was up. They're screwed. There's no getting out, which is one of my favorite scenarios in all of D&D. There's no winning. Everyone's going to die. And so what you have is the problem of facing how do you find yourself in the final frame of the comic book. Because there's no winning. You're screwed. And for a 7-year-old, this has got to be whoa. But it was okay because of the tone at the table. So with the final turn, the kid is at the end of the initiative order. The whole thing, the whole game, 45 minutes or so, 2 rooms of playing. He's to my right, and you guys, I don't know if you know me, but I play clockwise. So he's it. He's the end of the book, and he's 7 years old, and we're all looking at him. The kid is just I just want to be Zelda. I don't know what's happening. Well, Link technically. Okay, let's not get sloppy. So the kid, what are you going to do? Like, you're going to stab the thing? You're going to, like, run for your life? You're going to grab some treasure or, like, hold your sword up and die like a Viking or something? No. The kid says, I'm going to hug my dad. But this is my game, so you have to roll for that shit. You have to roll to hug your damn dad. You guys probably can see where the story is going. Nat fucking 20. That just happened like 90 seconds ago. Okay, we don't walk that fast, but. So he rolls the nat 20 on the hug, and the cleric is like 15 yards away. We said, fuck it. The cleric also runs up. He's like, guys, bring it in. Boom. And all the rubble comes down and doesn't hit them. Anyways, that just happened. And to me, that's what I wanted to talk about. So how do you get that shit to happen? So if you guys are playing D&D or like wanting to play it better, or maybe wanting to get into it is really the most interesting scenario. You know, I'm a big believer in the Zen mind, beginner's mind. So like people that are starting things seem to have all these possibilities, and people who've been doing it for a long time and are all awesome at it, they seem to be more close-minded. So I would invite you to, before we talk about this stuff, like open up that Zen mind a little bit and think about, like when I say the word D&D, I never mean D&D. I mean whatever the frick weird shit you guys are playing. I will even talk to and be human toward people playing Masquerade. It's okay. But you can play Masquerade even better, no matter how good you are at it. As a matter of fact, the better you are, I think, at playing, and especially Dungeon Master, you can get better. When you're a beginner, I mean, you're a beginner, so everything you do, you get better. Right? You punch a board, you're a better puncher than you were like 10 seconds ago. But when you punch a board for 10 years, you have to punch your way out of a buried coffin to be cool. So to do that, to punch your way out of the buried coffin, that's what I wanted to talk about. Okay, so does that feel like an intro?
Yeah.
That makes sense? Is everybody like with me now? Are we kinfolk? Damn, Airbender, you're crazy, dude. You're freaking me out. In a good way, though. Like they kind of want to touch you a little bit. All right. And by touch, I mean like the whole. Okay. This is so weird, you guys. I'm not used to this. I like to be like in a round table space where we're all equals. So I'm going to try to make sure I keep looking at everyone. If I don't look at you enough, it's not because I don't love you. It's just because. Father. All right. Whew. So that's the intro. That's like the emotional. You guys, hey, I'm not weird. You can relate to me, and I'm like a normal person. All right. So that's out of the way. Also, Lando, your mustache, and just keep going back to it. So actually, how do you actually improve? I had like a thing that I made, like a PowerPoint thing. It's so stupid. I felt like so dumb. You guys, next slide. Dear Lord. So instead, I just wanted to be myself. And it's strange to sit behind a table and try to be myself, but I want to hit you with the things. So it could be a bullet list of any number of bullets, but I can usually try to cook it down to, well, it has to be less than 10 because anything more than 10 is unrememberable by the human brain. So let's like try to stick to sort of like 5. So I guess there's the first damn point. Is like anything beyond a very small number, you can't remember it. I don't care how cool you are or how smart. And take this as meaningful when you're dungeon mastering. You cannot remember 10 things. Everyone forgets bread when they go to the grocery store. Because you wanted Gatorade gum and like Red Bull and Godiva chocolate. That got really weird. And that makes for a hell of a night, right? So, anyways, you can't remember 10 freaking things. So if you're faced with a situation when you're dungeon mastering and you're like some force out there, Starfinder, which you're learning to play, is wanting you to write down 10 things, fuck that. Do not write them down. You only get to write down as many things as you can remember. And this rule is so brutal if you take it to heart. Now I have a couple of my stupid book to give away. So like 2 of you will have like a yelling contest or something. But a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about is kind of in here. Okay. You can't have more things than you can remember. So if you're sitting at your table and in X number of rounds the ceiling's going to collapse, the torches can be pulled off the walls and used to burn the zombies because they have oily rags on their bodies. There is a weird sigil in the wall that, if read, will unlock the door that goes to another area. I'm only at, 3? I'm already starting to stumble. Actually, it's too late. Game's over. Fun's over. So, screw 5. I only got to 3 things. Those are all you get for the next hour of gameplay. And if you can adopt this and truly believe it, take it in, your game gets so kick-ass. Now, I only have about 35 years of playing to go on, and I know that this whole hobby is massive. And if you guys are who I think you are, you probably have comparable experience. Like, you guys are dungeon masters, you're players, you're all into D&D. Why are you even here? Such a weird talk to go to. But if you know that feeling of having all that experience and wanting to get better at it, then you're right here with me. So I only have that much experience to say what I'm saying. So if anything I say seems axiomatic, like it will be better, that's all I have, is that experience for you guys to believe me. It will be freaking better. The worst thing that can happen to your game is you're like, okay, so I'm gonna hug my dad. And you're like, okay, just a sec. Where's H? There's no hugging here, guys. Someone's on their cell phone. It's too late. The fun's over. So this is the first one, okay? So you can only have as many things as you can remember, and how do you deal with that as you're trying to make 6-hour sessions? Your problem. But per intensity moment, you don't get 5 things. You don't even, honestly, you guys will, if you take this internally, classes will become annoying to you. Variable damage will become annoying to you. Somebody will be like, I'm going to crush him. What's your damage? It's a mace, I think. Is it a mace? Because fun's over. So this is why I've consolidated so many things in my game, because I found that 2d6 plus 2 and 1d8 plus 4 are not fun in a different way. They are not meaningfully separated. So if you want a thing to be big, there's one thing you have to remember. Big weapon. That already took up one of only your 3 slots, which this talk started with 5, now you only have 3. Okay, so enough of that point. Fuck that point, we're done. Your lists and your bullets and the way you prep your game have to be so tiny that you just freaking remember them. And I mean 5 hours of gameplay. And if your players are cool, they won't wonder why you're not looking at your book. They'll know that my shit is simple enough where I remember it. So when I pull out this big dude, he only has 1 mechanic, and it's rememberable. Okay, move on. Wow. I love this thing, by the way. I feel like Tom Selleck can run away. Okay. Smaller mustache. Second one, timers. God, you guys, I'm so uncomfortable sitting behind here. But all of you can't fit right here, so... Timers. So I don't know if you guys, how many of you guys know about my YouTube channel? Oh my God, that's so awesome. Yes, because it's worthless. Don't go to my YouTube channel. Play D&D, don't look at YouTube. Okay, so one of the big things that got me into this bizarre position where now this is all I do was the idea of timers. So when I originally came out with it, it was perceived as sort of a way of trolling. It was very ill received. And I had done it all my life. I've been playing that way since I played Rifts in the 80s. And so I was just good to go. And at that time, I didn't really care what the reception to any of my ideas was. I was at that beautiful beginning where nothing I did mattered. Now it matters so much. Okay, sorry. The absurdity of it all just keeps coming back to me. Timers mean that you openly, totally meta, against all recommendation, expose to your players how long it's going to be before the next cool thing happens. You just freaking tell them. This has been hurting my leg ever since we were over there. This is the god of the timer. And it hurts when it's in your pocket. This is it. This is the mighty tetrahedron. So when we first started using it, we actually described it as cool shit. This was way back playing Rifts. I don't know, did anybody play Rifts? Yeah, my dog. My bald dog over there. All right. So we would be like, oh, fuck. Right? Instantly you feel like, no. What does that even mean? I don't know. It means like a shuttle's going to crash into the garage. It means that the glitter boys are all going to drug out and explode. It means that the acetylene tanks are going to catch fire and blow the whole scene to smithereens. It means I'm going to spawn an enemy. Cheating. Okay, then I roll that. Everybody's like, oh, we're fine. Especially if you play in a normal D&D group, think about how long 4 rounds is. Sometimes that'll be the entire night because you'll be listening to the paladin. Okay, so you guys do play D&D. All right. This is the most powerful little nasty mofo you can put in your game, and it's probably the thing that got me the most noticed in my own small and meaningless way, was doing this. Now it can be rounds, which is, I'm the DM, round, right? Or it can be, if you really want to be a jerk, it's turns. So it's just going doink, doink, doink as you go. So let's say you spawn a goblin every this many turns. In time, your players hang on no roll more than this. They hate this thing. But then if it's a 4, they all basically go pee. It doesn't matter anymore. It's like 4 turns till another goblin pops out. They got 4 hit points or something. Whatever. This is the biggest thing I can probably offer to you guys if you're trying to DM faster, more on crack style. So the accusation I get a lot with using this tool is that I've been called like a railroader. Right? I hope that's popping in some of your minds. My players kind of determine the pace of my game. And they kind of are choosing what's going on. You're just like a dick. You're turning it into a video game. That's possible. Yep. That definitely happens at times, depending on how cool my prep is and how cool my ideas, how cool my players are. I can be a total freaking railroader. But there are cool things at the end of my railroad. So get on board. There are other times where this means weeks. So, whoa, we have 3 weeks? What's happening? Well, I don't know. I'm trying to seduce the governor, right? That's a classic one. I'm making a suit of armor out of monkey bones. Okay, great. Well, the first week is spent blah, the second week is spent blah, and the third. It just confines the game. So I think enough, right? Enough on the damn timer point. Do this, you guys. Worship this mofo. This is so badass. And the way you can start it, the easiest way to start it is use it as a spawner. So you come into a room, every 1d4 turns, not rounds, turns, a skeleton pops out of the wall. And then just watch the madness ensue. And there's no stopping the skeletons. Maybe that's the next point, is infinite enemies. I don't know, that one's kind of weak though. Okay. All right, so timers in the scheme that's in my book is part of the triple T, or it's so catchy. The 3 T's. I really wish I had some elevator music to back me up because I feel so fucked up right now. All right. So the 3 T's are timers, threats, and treats. So I think in rooms. So a room is not to be taken literally. These are 2 rooms and here's a corridor, right? This room could be the Pelennor Fields. And this room is literally like a freaking shack. And this corridor is like when Faramir is running back from Osgiliath. Is everybody with me right now, conceptually? A room is a chunk of fun. Okay, enough. Each room has 3 things every damn time, because remember, you only get to remember 3 things. A room has a timer, which we just talked about. Let's go back. The timer in the Pelennor Fields is the freaking Nazgul chasing Faramir. They're going to catch up, they're going to kill them all. Remember, they're picking horses up and shit. That was totally awesome. The timer in the garage is the zombies are pressing the door in and pretty soon they're going to knock it down. The timer in the flight of Faramir's little group is is it still the Nazgul? I don't think it is. It's almost like how far they run. Fine. There's a timer in all my rooms. Move on, dude. The next 2 are threats and treats. Threats are always the easiest thing to figure out. It's fucking goblins. You're good to go. Move on. Treats. Treats can be sometimes challenging. When you start using the 3T method, it's going to be easy. You always put a bush in the corner. Always put a bush in the corner, you guys. I don't care what game you're playing. If you're playing freaking Planescape, or whatever that weird Monty Cook thing is that just came out, where you're like a guy with like a penis umbrella. Anyway, moving on. Even in that game, there should be a bush in the corner. And everyone playing should always be like, why is there a bush in the corner? That if they're not asking that, like these players are, I don't know, looking at their phones too much. So they need to be like, I'm gonna go check out that bush. Perception check or whatever. Oh man, look, there's berries on here. They each heal 1d6. That is the most old school, most super basic form of a treat in a room. Now you want to be cool and Mario with it. You put the bush in a glass box. Be a jerk. And it's right in the middle, it's right there. There's a bush in a glass box. All the goblins are coming in because I don't have a better example. And it's like a really nice bush. It's like a singing bush. It's like well cut. I'm so sorry. But there it is. The only way to open the glass box is to, I don't know, friggin' talk to John Travolta. But it doesn't matter because you've built a trope into your game that you can use 1,000,000 times. The bush. Now pretty soon, if you're like me, you're going to get tired of the bush. I love just saying that over and over, but you're just going to get tired of it because it's going to be like, oh, where's the healing berries? So that's when the treat concept in your room design is going to get interesting. Come up with new ones. A great one is a lever. I know a lot of DMs that do this. There's a big ass lever at the far end of the room, and there's like lava between you and the lever. I don't care what the hell that lever does. Players are dying to pull that thing. It could be the kill all players lever, and they'll still just be like, I can't make the strength roll. I'm trying to kill us all. Shut up. Like it's going to make me somebody if I pull this damn lever. Okay, so that's the next kind of easy one. Now, as you get into it, boy, you can get dirty with the treat. The treat can be the nastiest thing, especially if you get to know your players and you know, like, oh yeah, these guys are all like heavy metal Viking dudes. Oh, I know exactly how to fuck with them. I know the treat to give. Oh, it's like a guitar. There's a guitar in the far end of the room. Well, it's like the 13th century. What, on Earth? We're not on Earth, dude. It like has 2 strings. It's an electric lute. Asshole. There's an electric lute at the far end of the room. And actually, it's like being struck intermittently by like arcs of energy. I don't know any like Viking type dude players who are going to be like, whatever. Let's move on. There's a lever over there. So then there's other players who are much more nuanced and very poetic, right? Like if you take the Critical Role type player. There are always these players that have these like nuanced family love relationships, you know, where this Raven Queen shit and like this unrequited love and all this other weird stuff. That's your treat. You put their love, their lost family member, their corrupted brother. You get all freaking heavy with it. Get all Nietzschean and Fausty with it. Now, it's not as easy as a bush. But you guys are Dungeon Masters and DM players, you can totally get Fausty. Right? You can have personal transformation waiting right over there with Golden Cockroach. So that's the third one. So you have your timers, your threats, and your treats. Now, the wilder you get with it, your timer turns into total annihilation. It's what I call like an extreme timer. This is like the room's filling with frickin' magma. Liquid hot magma. It's extreme. There's no way out. It's not kind of like a guy's going to pop out of the wall. No, it's like you literally have one round before this room is ash. So what are you going to do with that time? And if one guy doesn't bother to leave the room, he's toast, man. Don't be squeamish. And do not roll this thing behind a DM screen no matter what you do. You're a chicken. Matter of fact, the only thing I know DM screens are good for is to have like your weed back here and maybe like some minis that you're going to pull out and like whiskey you don't want to share. But never, ever, ever roll dice behind a DM screen if you believe anything I'm saying. And if you haven't tried that before, try in your next session. It will make things just a living hell for everyone involved, and in a good way. Not like literally, like I really want to go home because I feel abused right now. But, especially like attack rolls and damage rolls, and have them out in the open, and it's non-negotiable. You as the DM are no longer the troll who wants to kill players. You're a victim of this cruel physics BS. So then threats can also become extreme. Threats can be, we did a game called Viking Death Squad about a month ago. And it was basically a game that was built on the Ozzy Osbourne song War Pigs. And so the theme was these Vikings are awakened in this coffin in space. And they have to like base jump. Dave, you know what's up. They have to base jump out of the coffin in space, down through the atmosphere, and then they find all these machines that have leveled the Earth, and then they take this beam down into the center of the Earth where Lucifer is waiting, but the beam fucks with him. It turns one of them into Satan. And he has to battle all his old friends and try to trick them into joining him and all this fucked up shit. But that's not the problem. That's not the threat. The threat is that the coffin ships are falling out of orbit. And they're all falling down on the Earth. The Earth is done. And we reached a point, and this is sort of my next piece. Try the session ending dice. It is so kick-ass. And don't use this because it can be a little too sudden. Try using a D6. So you remember this. The coffins are coming down, and it's like in D6 rounds, the coffins like blow the Earth to bits. You know? You don't want, of course. But there's no roll that you hang on more. Because it's no longer about like, I'm going to beat Satan. I hope I roll a crit. It's much more about like, how am I going to meet the end? And that to me is a much more like Matt Mercer style, critical, kind of more high nuance tone to the game. So try that. You'll know when the time comes. I got to go Yoda on this one with you. Like, when am I supposed to roll session-ending dice? Oh, you'll freaking know. It's like when they behead somebody you never thought they would beat. And you're like, damn, you just rolled like 53 damage. I'm like, in that many rounds, the game's over for tonight. Give it a try. It's amazing what happens because everybody shits their pants and becomes all epic. Even if all they're doing is like picking a lock on a treasure chest and hoping to like get what's inside. We had another one where a guy was trying to, I have like a spell learning mechanic. Sometimes it takes more than one round to learn a new spell. And like everything is cascading down. It's the end of the game and the guy's just like, I'm going to try learning again. He like rolls and he like gets halfway there. And it's just like, dude, it's, it's like 1 a.m. Like that's late because I'm 45 years old. So what are you going to do? Like everybody's kind of helping each other and getting out, and he's like, I'm going to try to learn the spell. So it may not have the effect of like everything's cool now. Nothing I tell you is going to have that effect. No game makes anything cool. It's you and your players make it cool. So give it a try. That's my third item, right? So we got, you can only remember a few things. Tyrant threats and treats. And session ender. You are going to be a session ender. You're that person. And you know what's great? The hardest thing in all of this hobby that I hope all you guys do along with me is knowing when I get to go home. Like at the end, man, people just play like for 4 days and shit. Like I got a lawn to mow. But I don't want to be that jerkwad who has to tell the paladin to shut up. But someone has to like, you guys, like I'm on my like 17th monster. I'm drinking that white one now. Like that's I don't want to drink that white one, man. So it's beautiful because it gives, and it could be mid-combat. It could be like one dude is down and has like one death save left, and it's just like this whole huge, oh, we're out of time, guys. Sorry, the dice just clicked to 0. Man, there's no cooler way to end a session. Instead of like, we're in town now, and I hate my existence because I don't know what to do. I guess I'll talk to that guy. What's his name? I don't know. Whatever. Don't end sessions that way. Okay, fine. Enough reinforcement of that concept. So, what were they? Oh yeah, you can't remember shit. 3 T's. End that freaking session. What else we got? I have other cool acronyms like do the do, logs, the oath. The oath is too heavy for this forum. You guys got to come out drinking with me tonight if you want to do the oath. So, what do you guys think? And you don't have any information to decide. Should we do logs or do the do? Which sounds better? Logs. Damn, that was so decisive. Fuck the rest of you. Logs. Logs are location, obstacle, goal. All right, so this is my so dumb. Location, obstacle, goal. Where are we? What the fuck are we trying to do? And why can't we just do it? This is not like a new concept to any of you guys. It's, we are in the garage, we want to go in the living room, goblins. Fuck! Where's the bush? Right? But this is how you can build everything. Because remember, you're dumb like me. Sorry, there it is. You can't figure out how to do campaigns and fucking story arcs and shit. You don't have a team of writers. You don't have a production studio. You know, half the time you don't even know where your pants are. So I'm in the garage. I want to go in the living room because there's chicken in there. Goblins. Like they're in that fucked up doorway that like houses in the 70s had that connected the living room. Okay, sorry. Whew! The 70s just tickle me every time. Okay. On a bigger level, we are in Greyhawk, Lord Soth, the Army of the Undead. We are in Lost in a Spelljammer in Deep Space. We need to find Toril, Mindflayer Fleet. We are in Moria, and we want to go to wherever the fuck they went after Moria, where like Frodo's crying. Balrog. Right? Location, obstacle, goal. Now, at first you're like, this is so new. But if you're playing continuously for like 5 years, you're out of ideas. Like you're fucked. And you're like the DMs. You're like, you have to clean your bathroom for people to come over, much less write a cool story. So that's where logs started being really helpful for me. I gotta be quoted on that. Is that gonna be on the internet?
Oh yeah.
Logs are really helpful for me.
Especially when you're cleaning the bathroom.
Yes, the more solid the better. So a great way is that you almost always know this one. You almost always know the location. It's where you guys already are, and usually they decide this. Now it gets interesting when your players determine this one. They decide the goal. And if your players are sort of like numbnuts, you may never find that time. And that's okay. You can tell them what the goal is. You got to go beat Lord Soft, guys, because he's kind of a jerk and he's got this rose and purple stuff's coming out of his eyes. And they're like, well, fuck that guy, right? But if you get like the cooler players, which you will if you play long enough, they'll be like, we're not really the military type. We kind of just want to get this cabin really squared away. You know what I mean? Okay, cool. Then the goal is a nice cabin. Your location is currently entangled in a giant war with the undead. Your obstacle is kind of like how Aeolus had to be written out of Hercules. Anyone? I went too far back. What's that?
Kevin Sorbo back in the day.
Thank you, but it wasn't Kevin Sorbo, it was his sidekick.
Aeolus.
Aeolus is the blonde guy.
Yeah.
Like no one could ever figure out why he was on the show. And then Gabby came in.
The old Hunter Strike.
And Gabby made Aeolus look like garbage.
Right.
Gabby.
Seasons of old Hunter Strike.
Every Xena needs its Gabby.
Old Hunter Strike.
Anyways, Aeolus is basically written out of the story because he's fighting so much, he's realizing he's putting his life on the line all the time, and he's like kind of doing a disrespect to his family. He's like, yo, Hercules, man, you're a son of a god, you got nothing on the line, but I've got a hottie with a body back there. And like 2 scrubs. Like, I can't be doing this adventure life. And man, it made a fantastic storyline for that super, super horrible show because they had to go to hell and stuff. And Aeolus is like, I won't. And Hercules is like, you're a traitor if you don't come with me. And then there was like a Power Glove commercial. All right. So anyways, that's logs. Logs is one of the easiest ones, but I do think it's still on the level of like the 3 T's and stuff. It's just, I'm not going to like get notoriety about it because I think it's a common method. But I just want to put it in the arsenal. And that's 4 things, right? So how are we doing on time, man? Can we have like interactive mode? You guys want to do interactive mode? Sure. Okay, cool. So 4 things is all I can really remember meaningfully. I'm sure there's like way more because 9 is my favorite number. But I can't remember 9 things. And then I got free garbage. So I got 2 books and a deck of 52 cards here. This is just, I don't know, just my garbagey art on 52 cards. And I got this Warframe comic, which is gonna blow your fucking mind. Not a single facial expression. Sorry, I don't mean to troll Warframe. Okay, so what do you guys think? Anybody ask me something cool?
So when you're doing a campaign where you have a set narrative, there's some stuff you really need to get on track, you have to railroad part of it. How do you balance doing the narrative versus the organic gameplay with your players?
Oh man, that's a big baller-ass question. What I do is I try to only let you go to the world map at the end of the stage. That's like Mario talk. So it's like, when you guys come over, you get to pick almost nothing. Except like what to drink and where to sit. But we're gonna freaking do this. Behold, I'm a dungeon master. I'm a badass at it. But then, once the session's sort of near the end, everything is open to them. Everything. And the only way you can truly walk that path and be honest is, I hate to tell you this, you can really only prepare one night at a time. And you just have to accept it. It's so hard to accept. But if you do, you will find that it all becomes about their little world. And it's just wonderful. But you feel like such a tool when you're like, new campaign, Planescape, motherfuckers. We're going retro. And then I sit down, I'm like, 5 bullets, I'm done. Shit. Well, I got my goblins in my bush, so I guess I'll go have a beer. But that's my answer. Separate the two, they're oil and water. It can't be like, you get this bitchin' like genius, nuanced dungeon with all these interlocking pieces because you guys are deciding. Fuck no. You kidding? That's my brain. But at the end, when the fields are in front of them, or one of them is dead, or they're near death and they're kind of like, then that's a great time to use, I call it tribunal, and I only gave it a corny name because it puts everyone on a defensive and makes them really honest. So what I'll do is we reach a point where I know the night is over, either because of the dice or because like somebody disappeared. Totally happened. He was asleep in my yard. And I'll be like, all right, tribunal guys, what are you doing? Like, what's coming here? In character now. Well, I mean, you don't have to use like a weird accent, but what is it you're doing? What are you wanting to do? And I don't actually even care what they say. I'm mining them. I'm going psychologist on them. I'm like, do you want to go into the tunnel, Clarice? And even if they say yes, I'm reading them to see if they really want that. And then I want to use that and twist that little mind worm and fuck with what they want and take it away and give it. But I only do it when they're on the world map. And the dots that are on my Mario map are dirty, gross, gnarly dots. It's not like, want to go back to town? No. No, it's like, do you want to eat your brother to survive? Right? That's a great one to hit them with. Then it doesn't matter what they say. Yes? Well, okay, you eat it. No, that's not what happens. You use it and mine it. But the short answer is, don't mix the two. And don't put that burden on yourself because it's freaking impossible. And if you see it happen in games, it's almost always inadvertent. And it's lucky because players and DMs get like it's synchronous, especially after like 2 years of playing together. They're all intuiting the same ends. They know we're going to go be immortals and we're going to have a spelljammer and we're going to, fly a galleon and all this shit, right? But I would dare you to Goodwill Hunting that shit. Always extract yourself from their psychology. Always put yourself over it. So during the game, you are fair and wonderful and you just want everybody to have fun and it's give and take. But when it comes time for that, you're axiomatic, you're a cruel god, you're absolute. It's your way of the highway. But for me, it's been useful to use that word tribunal. Tribunal, guys. Do you think the paladin's a dick? That's a great way to do it. But since I use the word tribunal, everybody's like, oh yeah, I totally think he's an asshole. I mean, my player would never say it. But it's tribunal, right? No, I was kidding. So is that a decent answer?
That does help.
Okay. Anybody else got cool questions to instigate nonsense? What's up, my Viking brother?
I've always had a problem because I like to limit my players as little as possible when they're creating characters and stuff. I think I like to see the really creative stuff come out.
Yeah.
But like, how do you have any tips? I know this tribunal thing actually might be a good idea. I might have to try that. But do you have any tips when it comes to trying to keep a story, a campaign together when you've got conflicting alignments in the party? Because that always seems like a big roadblock that pops up.
It is.
I've got a paladin and the lawful evil wizard, and like, how do I get a paladin to work along with a lawful wizard or a chaotic evil wizard? Like,
Yeah.
how
So,
do I make them?
Did they start that way? Did they set out to have this conflict? Like, hey, dude, you roll an evil wizard, and I'll be like a good guy.
Not inherently, they just kill people.
I see, yeah. You know, and unfortunately, it's pretty common in the hobby. You know, like gloating and enjoying low-level conflict are actually pretty common in D&D. And it's unfortunate, but it's totally real. So you got two choices. I totally walked these roads too, so I'm not just talking out of my butt. You got two choices. Fuck that. So they're creating these characters, and I'm like, fuck you. No. I'm an evil wizard who hates the party. No, you're not. Do you want to play in this game? Fuck you. Let's move forward. I mean, be neutral at least, a-hole. Okay, all right. So that's just like brutal, gnarly honesty, right? But that's at the time of character creation. You don't have that luxury, it sounds like to me, right? These guys are in, and they're invested in these assholes. So what I would do is I would basically like pull out my M. Bison, right? M. Bison is this like supreme sort of conformity character. And what you want to do is you want to give these guys an unyielding dilemma. And they have to yield in one direction or the other. And you can give it a bunch of different forms. So your location is group in conflict. Your goal is group in harmony, right? Your obstacle is this M. Bison character. And he shows up and he's like, you either join me or I destroy you. Or you either join me or you join her. That's another great way to do it, right? And they're like, what do you mean her? And they look over and it's like, you know, fucking Overwatch, right? So, but you see what I'm saying? You don't want to be the guy that says, I am the DM and I will now harmonize the group. You're fucked. They'll never work. But you can have a character that can say that. And you can actually even say that to them. Like, what could it be? I mean, I just always come back to like a totalitarian figure. He's like, either pull it together or here it comes. And if you're going to have here it comes, you need to be serious about it. You need to have coffin ships crashing in from space. You need to be ready to destroy the world in the exchange for harmony. Because there is no game without harmony to me. If your players are in character, fuck your game. Or in conflict, fuck your game. It's not a game, it sounds like hell. And if somebody's being a dick and they're like using D&D to play out this conflict, fuck that person. Either get them out of your game, or the easier way is to just end the game. Just be like, and you don't have to end it with like some kind of cool cataclysm. You're just like, guys, this conflict thing, it sucks. And what I can do when I've had that happen to me, this is actually where the word tribunal was invented, is that I gathered my group that had this problem, not at the table and not to play D&D. We got together at the pub. And then, this part is not easy, dude, but I gotta hit you with it. That's where you need your Viking spirit. And you'd be like, guys, this fucking sucks. So can we like kind of align things? You know, again, it's a little goodwill hunting, right? Like you really gotta get all honest and awkward. But that's what the word tribunal is for. That makes you feel like it's somehow cool. And when there's an agreement, we have this thing called the spear in the skull. And that means, is the spear in the skull is what we ask. And that means, is this resolved? Because honestly, we are people who play tabletop RPGs. We are socially bizarre. We have all kinds of hang-ups. We can be introverts, extroverts, impatient with other people, like hermits. You know, really playing D&D is almost the main way I even interact with any other human being. So we have these terms that help with the weirdest things you can ask people, like, is everyone in agreement now? Like, no one says that. So we have this idea of like, at the end of the tribunal, we put the spear in the skull and no one can pull the spear out until the next tribunal. So I would challenge you to directly confront your asshole. And if they remain stubborn with it, then you do the next step, which is like what all cop TV shows do, which is you need to talk to him in private. And that's even more awkward. That's like the absolute limit of awkwardness. That means you really want this person in your game and you're going to go to the absolute limit to talk to them in private. Because you don't want to call somebody out in front of other people. But in private, you can be like, you're such a dick. Stop being a dick. Because, you know, I got like feelings and shit. So I'm going to have to say, fuck you. If this continues. Like, can we jam? All right? Does that kind of answer it? I know it doesn't make your situation any easier.
No,
but I want to give you words for it. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I hope you don't have that for long, because fuck that. Also, fuck evil wizards. My group spends their entire life eradicating evil wizards, so if our parties meet, like, it's not going to be cool. Like, the keg's going to be gone.
That was not my problem.
Yeah, right. We're trying to get rid of this guy. He's back there like, I'm so Graceland. No, you're not. He's a good guy. All right, anybody else got one?
Right.
Yeah, buddy.
How do you deal with players who constantly they want to split up all the time? It's like, here's a quest.
You get the cheeseburger, I'll grab a beer.
And it's like, how can you do something like, all right, you get a turn, then you get a turn, and then you get a turn, and then like there's nights where I spent like 2 nights on just these 2 characters with like 4 other players. And it's like, guys, can you like group together at least for one night? No, I feel like to do their own thing.
Why did they have the chance to do that? Like, what gave them the opportunity to split in this case? Did you have like a branching dungeon?
I don't remember, this was a while ago, maybe, yeah. There's like branching dungeons, I've had like bounty boards set and they just sort of do their own thing.
Right.
It's kind of like a struggle.
So one solution for this is, how come people aren't buying Caramello anymore? Yeah. It's because there are too many funnels of products in stores now. And Caramello is only in 1 or 2 of them. No matter what you do, players are cats. And they're just gonna freaking run all over your shit, right? Let's just take that as a given. So what's the worst thing you could give them? It would be like a sphere with no barriers on it. And then if you put a Caramello on that sphere, the odds of them running into it are nil. So I want to give you a hard answer, which is like, your players didn't do anything wrong. The architecture of the space they were in let them do that. And that's what you have to eliminate from your game. Now they can do that if like this means months, and we have 2 months, fucking go wherever you want, right? And we're just we're in meta mode, right? We're just I'm learning Spanish. But if we're in like dungeon mode, your architecture, it needs to be like the Guggenheim, right? You never miss a single piece of art in the Guggenheim. But you feel like you can go wherever you want. It's a total illusion. It's a fucking corkscrew. But the whole time you're just like, oh, I'm over here. Yeah, we're chatting by the stairs. You know? And then, oh, I'm up here on the 3rd level. Actually, you're just walking in a freaking straight line the entire time. So it's actually one of the videos I put out recently is a dungeon that's a giant straight line. And my players had a freaking blast with it. And I did it basically like Sonic. It's just this conveyor belt of shit. And then there's a Minotaur on the conveyor belt, and then there's a Caramello, and then there's a fucking Mind Flayer. And you know what? They never once did these players be like, well, how come we're in this darn straight line? They don't say that. They're too busy not dying. And so I would actually critique you a little bit and say that maybe your architecture let them do that. Now you were awesome because you're trying to give them each their independent experience and all this cool shit, right? You can do a little bit of that. Like, if you're going to get a cheeseburger, you're going to get a beer. Cheeseburger's kind of right over there. That's how the Guggenheim works. You know, you can go look at the classics, or I can go be over here in modern art, and I can still be like, what's up, dude? Butts, right? Right? But we're like, you know, we're still kind of conceptually together. And that's what I would invite you to do. And honestly, I think a lot of DMs break their brain on this split the party thing. That's why it's like an endless meme. Never split the party. I mean, well, then Friday the 13th came around to really drive it home, but like, don't split the party, not because we're going to get killed, but because it sucks. And so you, as the DM, are making basically a fucking straight line that swiggles. And the divergence that players get is not in where they are, it's who they are. And how they respond, and like how they treat a corner, or how they treat someone falling down. That is the branching of the game. And if you can encourage that and, you know, kind of keep all the cats in the little thing, man, let's just stack the metaphors on. Fuck it. Your game becomes like this, what I call a water slide. When you get in the top, you're going to go whee all the way down to the pool. And it's fun. You're not like, darn it, I never got to choose which way to go. But then you're in the pool, and we're back to your question, which is like, ooh, what ride should I go on next? Minotaur, right? Or Mind Flayer room, or like traps. But not like, okay, guys, we're going to the dungeon. There's 4 doors in front of you, and they all go opposite directions, and like they're all soundproof. Oh my God. Does that make sense? Does that sound like a good answer?
Yeah, thank you.
So unfortunately, it's a little bit like change your game a little bit, but let your players be free within a tighter space. Really, take a look at the architecture of the Guggenheim. I mean that as a literal example. It's bloody genius. How the entrances work, how it all functions to funnel and give people freedom. And in general, understanding the principles of classical architecture is one of the hugest investments you can make in being a good DM. It's a very complex and big topic, but goddamn will it open your mind to how people interact with space. And in good spaces, they do not go in opposite directions. They kind of, snack stand is over there. If there's an entrance on this side of the room, there's probably one here that mirrors it, right? That's classic architecture. That's like the Roman 7 or something. There's this book of like 7 principles. Has a cool Roman name. You can look it up. It's a cool ending. Okay, what do we got? Time for like one more? Okay. Are you Trigun?
Yeah.
Dope. All right, keep going.
How do you do with players breaking out of your game setup? So I'll have like a tower. I gotta look at the top of the tower. One of my rogues broke out of the tower somehow.
Oh, like they're prisoners.
No, he was just going to talk to the wizard at the top of the tower.
So he like popped out and started climbing?
Just going through all the rooms. I didn't know what to do about it.
Oh, like you couldn't stop it?
Yeah.
Whoa.
There's an accident.
Okay, so you had a player running amok through your challenges. The tower is not salient, right? He was bolting to the end.
Not really. He was going through every room, checking every box for who knows what.
Oh, one
Dangerous.
of those. One
Like
of
at a
those.
speed that you couldn't control. Like nothing was stopping. Like what's wrong? That sounds like fun to me.
I
We've all
just
seen
didn't
that
have anything prepared for it. He didn't give me enough time to think something for it.
Interesting.
It sounds like he's avoiding what the actual quest is. And
Yeah, not having fun with all the cool stuff. Is that the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think that people, this has a lot of different forms, but you can often underestimate players. That's really kind of what I'm hearing. Like, man, are they crafty and never give a fuck about what you want them to care about. And I swear they're all on cocaine. And their sense of morality is just warped as all fuck, right? And not only that, they're smart. They have all these interlacing powers, and they're pathfindering my ass all up the wall. So what I do, and this is another thing that I'm not necessarily loved for, but I have a brutally, brutally hard game. And it takes a lot of wits as a DM to make your game hard, because your players are so cool. And you can't just be a jerk. You can't just be like 10d10 rocks fall, that's the old meme. But you can put salient barriers that force them, not gently either, man, just force them to enjoy the art in the Guggenheim. You get to look at 5 pieces of art, and there's this freaking adamantium door. And they're like, there's no adamantium in this universe. There is now. I'm the DM. This door is totally indestructible. It's like some freaking Stargate shit. Right? And they need to work together in some fun and simple way that cannot take one person. Right? It's just like launching a nuke. A guy can't run down to the bunker and hit a red button. You gotta have 2 guys with the keys, and they go through, they do all that cool war game shit, right? So unfortunately, it's an answer very similar to yours, which is kind of like, damn, my player ran him up. Okay, cool. First of all, awesome for him. He needs a ton of experience, and those deeds should be heralded for ages to come, all right? Let's make that clear. But then in the next dungeon, you're like, I'm not dumb, dude. This time, you have 4 pieces of cheese. Each piece of cheese can open a door, and there are 6 doors in succession. What? Exactly. Now you got it. And there's no negotiating the cheese. So, whoa, where do they run out? The beginning, the end? Do they try to jigger the first door so that they have cheese for the last? Do you see what I'm getting at? Yeah, is you if you really want them to look at the painting of the butt, there has to be a cool and non-merciful reason to look at the butt. Because they'll just be like, I don't care about classic art. I just want to run to the top, as you described. So get that big nerve. Be Wrath of Khan with your shit. It's just like Kobayashi Maru. Man, I'm just stacking the references up. There is no other way to win but the one that I have waiting. Until we come back to the pool at the end of the water slide. Then it's up for negotiation. Does that kind of help?
Yeah.
But that is a tough challenge, I know, man. Like, my players do things I never, ever... It's like, I've got a beholder in a room full of mirrors. Yeah, we're not going in there. We went around, we climbed. Well, it's like a 25 climb DC. 32. Fuck, dude. You didn't even bring snacks. All right, well, thanks everybody for coming. Who wants one of these? Oh, shit. All right.
Lightsabers got one, man.
Okay, what number did I roll?
3.
4.
3, 4.
Who said 1 back there? The guy in the way back? All right, come get a book. All right, let's play again. It's kind of like, yeah.
You just roll it all once?
Yell louder.
I need a little fob that says that. All right.
3.
1. I swear this is not fixed.
Blame the odds.
One more time, ready?
4.
I heard a 3 over here. 3. My man. Silent Bob. Right on. Okay, thanks for coming, you guys. Go forth and play. Whoa.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Play and Podcast Network. And feel free to enjoy our other shows, such as D&D Journey of the 5th Edition and Scion Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion hero to Ragnarok story. Thank you for listening.
Cyborg, we really appreciate human beings. Right.
I'll just press it.
Is it happening?
Yes, it's happening.
You are not a Muppet. You are not a Muppet.
Says you. Cyborgs and Muppets. I swear apart. One has a hand up the butt, the other doesn't. That's not entirely true, actually. Warframe is a weird choice for a comic book because they don't have facial expressions. All right.